Welcome, my friends. We have something special today. We have John, the leader of Emphatic Elite, with us today, talking about Town Hall 10 base building. So really excited to have him here on the program, on the show, and let's get into it, shall we? Well, we are with John the man from Emphatic Elite, the leader of Emphatic Elite. He is talking about base building. He's an expert base builder. This is another series in the expert series. And he is from one of the best clans in the world, in fact. So glad to have you here. And we are talking about Town Hall 10 base building. And this is the base he built. And yeah, just take it away. And kind of see what you, hear your thoughts about it.
Okay, I gotta get back into it because I just spun. So, but yeah, basically with this base, I was built of defending 10v10 because I knew I was going to give it to a low level Town Hall 10. So I wanted to make sure that there was not going to be extreme value for suicide heroes. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't much value for a charge. Basically the standard stuff that I go through when I'm building bases. I have a good spread on my air defenses, so the only real there's only one real spot to get two air defenses, but you're not going to have an easy time getting an Inferno if you go do that. And any other spot heroes, you're not going to get more than one air defense. And I mean, they are next to an Inferno, but there's really not a ton of other spaces to put them. At least that I feel. So yeah, I just made sure that those were properly defended, especially to not get the queen as well, because I noticed that I know that our guys run a lot of skeleton spells on queens, and I see how they fail. So I make sure congested area where she's protected from that, and just make it all work where suicide can't really get the type of value you really need. So
nice. Yeah, because in this war it defended against an 11 as well, so
yeah, which was great.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about building a Town Hall 10 base, like what are the main objectives are you trying to defend against? Like, so you know, because it's either air or people are using the bewitch strategy, or many names for it. We'll keep it PG for today, but what's kind of going through your mind with that sort of thing?
I actually have both attacks really in mind, and you can't see it through the scout, but you'll see that there. Actually, you might be able to see it through the scout because you're on my team. But like the springs are loaded up to make sure that a suicide can't get in there and take the necessary, having it really just try to force a wall breaker fail, where the queen is the wall breakers are likely to try to break the queen in, along with a double small bombs to try to cause a wall breaker fail. So those are really my top about when I'm defending Lalo, aside from having my air defense properly spread out. And trying to make sure that my sweepers and everything, all air targeting, is able to best give those loons some hell when they're going through it. Bowler Witch strategy, I actually keep those in mind for all of my bases as well. It's something that I started coming across when we ward war whales here, I want to say 3 weeks ago. And with my 11, I was pretty embarrassed with a 1-star dip fail on a low-level Town Hall 10 that caught me with outside tussles on my funnels, caught me with some outside bombs, really just ruined my raid from that, running the Bowler Witch strategy. And it's just something I keep in mind for all of my bases now, because as we see in this war, it made a big difference where it did cause a Town Hall 11 to fail their dip. So, but yeah, basically the biggest things that I look for initially are the suicide. And because as somebody who has an 11 themselves and witch strategy, I absolutely love it when I see that a quake spell can open up both of my Infernos so I can hit them broadside and have the bowlers behave and get both of them down without just getting scorched. So I make sure that that's not going to be a factor. And then actually it's funny that this happened against Mariana Trench, because I caught a lot of these lessons from a video that Momentous just with defending the Bowler Witch attack, and that explains why I've got my core compartments as they are. They're all separated, so it's easy to get the kill squad landlocked, but two, to potentially draw the kill squad away from their path to the second Inferno, along with bombs that are in areas where the war is likely to already. I have 3 giant So it makes it real rough to get the kill squad through those.
Cool. Let's watch the Town Hall 10 replay. So this is a replay of a live attack, but let's see where this person enters, and I'm going to pause it. Let's pause it. Let's pause it now. So from this entry point, it seems like he's going for your queen. Is this, when you're building that, I mean, are you, as far as your traps and other kind of defenses around the queen, are there certain things you're looking to do to protect her more, or are you just or what's going on in your head with that?
Really the biggest thing I want is as much DPS going at the kill squad as possible, but I also want at least some element of splash damage to try to protect against the skeleton spell. And you'll see that I have the wizard that is there to help protect against, actually I got 2 wizard towers within that region that are going to help protect against the skeleton spell. Granted, they can be shooting at the air, but again, with Defend and Bowler Witch, I want to keep like the bomb towers on the outside where they're really hard to distract. They can still work on the skeletons on the bottom.
Yeah. No, I get it. Let's push play and then kind of see, pushing play now. See where this attacker brings in the queen. It looks like it's going to be a queen walk, obviously. Looking good.
Yeah, you
so
see
far.
with all the DPS coming.
But the DPS, yeah. Had to use the ability early. And didn't wall break in. Oh, he wanted her to go north, I see. I don't really like I don't like his king. I think the king was pretty much waste. I know it created the funnel, but like a baby dragon maybe could have done that.
Yeah, the king really caught a raw deal with that Tesla and that giant bomb.
Well, yeah.
But again, there's so much DPS there.
Yeah. Do you think this base is susceptible to a queen walk, or you, or not?
Probably in an area you can't get the queen. It could be susceptible to a closed queen walk. Like say if they start around walk up towards 10. But again, he's going to be blowing his queen to make that, or his king to make that funnel, or unless he's going to be dropping a lot of something like a bowlers to try to make sure she's going the right way because of the way the trash buildings are all piled up there. So it's really not an easy task to go about. And I definitely limit the charge because of my shallow outside containers. And in the main areas where you want to do like the double wall break, and you can easily produce as well, so it doesn't make it really that easy.
Yeah, and I noticed with the loom portion, it seemed like the attacker got a little thrown off by some of your Teslas popping out on the outside. Certainly, like at 6 o'clock, I think it maybe threw some of the loom pathing off.
Yeah, the mortars too.
Yeah.
And that's really just from having to fight that issue. Somebody who's taken the Lalo as their primary dipping method, stuff like that. It's just, I know what makes me mad, so I try to make other people mad with it.
Yeah. Let's look at the Town Hall 11 dip. Let's watch that replay. Now, speaking of Town Hall 11 dip, it seems like most wars these days, it comes down to dips. If you can do hit ups and dips, or 10v10s. I mean, I guess 10v10s too. But if you fail on dips, you're really getting at a disadvantage. How are you trying to defend against the dip? I mean, this is a low level Town Hall 10, and it's somehow it defended against the max 11. So already off the bat, the base is strong. But why is it strong against an 11? Do you think?
Well, like I said, I took a lot of the 11s as what I've seen with their. I think it's not something they have to plan to do is to do a dip. So they think they can spam some loons or spam, and it's usually an automatic 3. And the loons are a lot harder to defend, although, especially from a Town Hall 11, especially with the Warden probably accompanying them. But for the bowler and witch, there's a lot you can do, like the outside bombs to surprise the witches and the bowlers because the skeletons don't trip them. So as soon as the units that the skeletons are tanking for come across that, they're severely weakened. You also have things like splash on the outside edge, which can eliminate the skeletons and open up your witches and bowlers to targeting. Those are the big things that I do to try to whittle away the flanks. And then finally, another thing that I do, like I did in here, is I had the bombs not around the infernos where 11s typically like to deploy their tome, and instead put them more in the core of the base so they can continuously weaken the units as they go through. Sure, a Keen or a Golem might cross those, but there's a good chance they can catch the bowlers and witches. It's not like academic every time it happens, but there is a very strong chance that you can weaken up the witches and bowlers as they go through there, and cause them to thin out and leave it up on the Queen and Warden to finish off their base. And that's what happened here. And he just ran out of steam. He wasn't able to still some defenses up on the flanks that were able to target the Queen, her down, and eventually take her out and leave it to just the Warden having to try to finish it off, which I want to take up another point. We'll get to that when we go through the replay of exactly why the Warden finished up on a building that he did that, he could have finished off the base with, but because of a new base building principle, that certain opportunity wasn't available for him.
Now, one thing I see from the attacker, usually, well, at least with 10s, like having witches go into the core. Oh, he didn't have any. Oh, he got lucky. You usually don't want your witches too much in the core because a giant bomb could kill him.
Personally, I send 2.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah, I guess I've seen. Well, I'm not an 11, so on 10, when I've hit 10s, I usually actually not put any in the core, but I've seen both.
Actually, I did fresh triple with Bowler Witch, and I didn't send any with the core, but this was 10v10.
So let's pause it now. He's like I'm kind of right where the king is almost near the second inferno. Now the thing I think what I've been finding, our clan's been finding, if you can create bases to prevent the bowlers and witches, if you, for your second jump, if it won't get, your queen won't connect to the second inferno. Does that make sense? So like on this base, it takes 3 jump for your queen to get to the inferno instead of 2 jump. You know what I'm talking about? So it really limits, certainly from an 11 perspective, but from a 10, it limits their ability from the spells because they have to bring 3 jump instead of 2. Does that go through your head? Because I don't know if you've noticed that. I mean, you're the base builder, but is that a part of keeping the inferno
honestly
spread out?
10 versus 10, I'm not too worried with that attack. Because my bases are so compartmentalized and compact that I try not to give them a straight shot between infernos like a large core or anything like that. I try to limit my big square compartments. As you see in here, the only square compartments I have are my inferno islands. So it's definitely not an attack that I think of 10v10 happening to any of my bases. But for the 11s, I definitely work to prevent them. And honestly, I don't see this guy's third jump spell, so I think he may have just... do you see a third jump there?
I do. I see a third jump. He misplaced it. He could have connected the inferno, and if he had, he might have gotten the 3. But he put it early. I think he put it in the middle of the base, which he didn't need to. So let's push play and let's finish the rest of the raid. See what happens. Because you said about the what were you saying about the warden? You said he was early on the tome, I think, or
not that he was early on the tome, but the rest of the raid was left up to him, and you'll see what essentially it is a big thing that goes through my head when I'm building these bases, because I like to do this all the time, is what can you funnel with a bowler skip? And if you see here, like where I had my air defenses, you see the one that's still standing, there's a farm, and there's two huts that are right in front of it that are able to be targeted by a bowler to skip. Same thing with that mortar. There's no height or no HP that's greater than the building that's going to be skipped to, or ability to quake it. So as you can see here, the queen is going down fast, and she's actually not going to get through this raid. And the thing is, all my huts are used inside the trash ring to build to run the base, which leaves a higher HP gold mine out in the corner, which he never accounted for with his kill squad. So he's down to one witch, he's down to a very weakened queen, and down to a half health warden. And you'll see, like you already saw, it's 99%. They're gonna get through all this stuff here, but the queen's, I don't think, gonna make it past his cannon. And it's going to leave a very small amount of time to try to take out that gold mine, which requires, I think, 3 to 4 shots, and the warden takes at like a second and a half between shots. So that all adds up when you're at the end of the raid.
Yeah. Usually you see you see builders huts in the corners. I kind of like that saved the raid for sure.
Definitely,
because the queen would have gotten it, and then that's crazy. Your base building saved the 3-star. Wow. That was impressive. I mean, I think he made mistakes as well, but I mean, the base really held up against an 11. I mean, it wasn't even not even close to max base.
Yeah, he made mistakes, but my base. So, I mean, that's really the thing.
Did you want to look at another base and post one and just kind of talk about it and why you maybe something a little different looking, or different than the one?
It's up in chat right now.
Okay, I'm on scout view. So tell us a little just about maybe your process here, or actually, how long does a Town Hall 10 take you to build? Like, what is your typical timetable and things like that?
Usually it's about 25 minutes to 35 minutes. And the one that we just watched, base 19, I actually built while I was sitting at my desk at work within a half an hour or so, because I had like no time last week to build. This one I think was about 45 minutes or so, and this was switching back and forth between Momentous's video on how to defend bowler witch attacks, and you can see where I've got the giant little nooks to try to trick witches or bowlers when they come in to throw rocks or their plasma balls at their defenses to get sprung or take removed from the map. And I wasn't particularly I thought this base was going to be tough, and I was really interested to see how they would hit it 11v10. This was strictly designed to hit 11v10. And I put it in war against play last week, North Watchers. And the base only got hit 10v10. It defended every time, but they mostly just went like dragons. I think there was a Lalo. They were all coming from the right to left trying to sweep across the base. So it definitely led me to think not just to design something to be anti-bowler witch and more or less to be anti-Lalo with a anti-bowler witch attachments to it.
Yeah, and on this base, you can already tell, like, you're preventing the suicide hero, because those infernos are, like, all those gold storages and the town hall, like, they're just slowing it down. There's no way they can get through it.
Yeah, and that Tesla's going to ruin the day on the side where you would think to go enter to try to get the queen as well, especially if you could try to figure out how to break into the infernal compartment. And that's another thing, as you can see here, compartments where I overlap a little bit on the little compartments there. I like to have that little space there in case I want to throw a spring in there, but also else. We saw this with a guy last week when he built a base versus North Watchers that one of our other base builders, Lee, built for him, and this one compartment was like a tile off, and it happened to be right alongside the Inferno like this, and allowed for a queen to easily snipe that Inferno. So I mentally do this myself, where I try to overlap on these Inferno compartments to try to help if I give the base away, because I do give away a lot of bases for people to run. So it's just a little mental my head, because one, I can put traps there like spring traps or air bombs or anything to try to weaken up. Like if they try to just send loons directly at the Inferno, I can have a red bomb there and weaken them up as they enter, and there's a good chance that they might fall down or something like that. It's just something that I do.
Yeah. Now, speaking of kind of maybe meta going forward, do you think the Island Infernos will continue to be the way to go, or do you think there will be a change or coming forward?
Honestly, I like the Island Infernos. We did because I have my 11 in theory for the CWL matches, and they were Warren J off. They had really awkward Island Infernos, like they didn't have like the full square. In fact, some of them they were easily targeted by a bowler. And actually, that one that I 10v10'd versus Mariana Trench in here, they actually had it so I could target the Inferno with bowlers from the core. So honestly, personally, I think these islands for the Infernos are the way to go, because as soon as you stop forgetting about bowlers, that's when you're going to hit by them. It's just a good rule of thumb to have. I think booby trapping them all to hell is probably out the window, because miners aren't really doing it, and hogs still take quite the beating on the ground. I don't think they still have enough HP to be very effective at 10v10. So they're I don't think it's necessary to booby trap the Inferno, because it's better to watch somebody try to drop the heel there thinking they're going to get through their bombs or whatnot, or get through the Inferno, and then when they run off of the core, that's when they hit their bombs. I think Town Hall 10 is going to start moving more towards how Town Hall 9 is, where they're going to try to bait an attack, and they're going to try to trick the attacker with some type of crazy trolliness. I think the volume for 10v10 hits is just going to be there, where it can the next guy can correct that mistake. But the higher up in the list you go, like where I am, I'm at the top of the list. I'm almost a 90k. More or less, you're going to start getting hit by 11s until 11v11 becomes viable in 10s. So I think these Inferno Islands are.
Yeah, cool. Let's you said you 10v10 this past war, or are you Hugin or?
No, I'm Captain Syphilis.
And you 10v10? Which one did you hit?
17.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was a 10 down there. Let's watch this one, if you don't mind, and then maybe you can tell us maybe the weak, since you know the weak parts of this base, and why was it kind of weak to the bowlers and witches strategy.
Sure. This was actually something that was analyzed by our guys last night, and I run these attacks every now and then. They said, all right, well, where they're going to have Nick or John hit this base with bowlers and witches. I woke up this morning, saw Nick had already gone, so this pretty much left it to me. And I really didn't have any I had a little bit of nitpicking on the plan with somebody else, but not too much. And the thing is you take a look at the wizard tower placement. They're not in a position where they're going to mess with your flanks at all. You're going to end at the raid where you're either going to start the raid or end the raid where the wizard towers are at. So one thing that we do with our 10v10 bowler witch attacks is we bring some balloons with us to target these either splash damage or free defenses that we can have the balloons work through to save our flanks some trouble. So I did bring a pair of balloons for up top at 12 o'clock for those two wizard towers. And I was going to start my raid from 5 o'clock or no, it's 4 o'clock. So what I do is I start a golem on the mortar, have some bowlers that are going to easily take that out, so I can put a second bowler or golem over to these two wizard towers to have them tank. And usually I bring some giants. You see, I don't have any comp to tank for the sides here, but I drop my 3 witches and a couple bowlers on each of the flanks on each of the huts, and then my 4-finger drop with a jump spell to allow everybody to take down all that stuff in the intro, and they can jump into the Inferno, jump into the core. I've got 2 rages and a heal, and then as you see that Inferno tower, the second one that's by the Expo and the Sweeper, it's only 1 tile away. So my bowler should be able to reach that. If not, my queen should. Actually, my queen walked in this and actually turned out to be for the better in this raid, especially with a Hound Moon.
Yeah, and I think we talked about before. All it requires is 2 jump to get to the second Inferno, and that's, I think, building against that. It helps. I would do the same strategy here. I think bowlers and witches are strong, and you can kind of just tell us what's going through your mind if you made mistakes in the raid. Or I know at these it's kind of not really too hard, but
honestly, I really intended for my queen to go in, so I did make a mistake. I did not let this left side work on this left side funnel soon enough to start working down these storages. I could not bring a baby dragon on the one because of the air defense there, but I could have loaded up a couple other bowlers on the right hand side to start working on that gold storage. And my queen does walk, but like I said, it turned out for the better on this raid because she's able to come through clutch at the end, and it wasn't spending all her time fighting that lava hound. In fact, the lava hound didn't even come to play until the very end. So jumped in rage. We got our next jump, everything there. So the heal came down quite nicely. The Tesla farm's in a beautiful spot for this raid, and getting the second rage down. If you look at my flanks, they're just tearing through this base. There's no danger until they get to those wizard towers.
The golem. If he had the Inferno away, the bowlers would not have taken it out. It probably would have been a fail. It would have been a fail, probably. Maybe.
So it's possible.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know, but who knows? But having
there's the balloons coming in to tank those wizard towers, and then the golem comes into play right at the right time. So the other.
Well, you have tons of witches left. Yeah, even with, I don't know. I think
I actually counted. I had 5 out of my 8 or 6 witches left.
Yeah. Well, even with the Inferno up, you probably I didn't know that it was this dominant. Wow, there's so many witches. You probably still would have gotten it anyway.
Yeah. But there you go. You see the hounds focusing on the pups, and even this pissed everybody off because I threw that swag poison down because this happened. But there's still 5 witches in there that are shooting up at these guys, and half the pups are going after the skeletons.
Yeah. No, that's a great attack.
This was a fresh hit too.
Yeah, I think on if you're using bowlers and witches, you don't need scouts because since it's just like a mass attack. I think it's a waste to use a scout personally. On it. But yeah, I think for people who are listening, I don't base designs like this where the cannons are on the outside. There's no splash damage. That's like the skeleton spells. Well, they'll just tank for your bowlers and witches to just pummel the sides. And
that's a prevalent attack now.
Attacked what? Which one?
I said because bowlers and witches are such a prevalent attack, it's something that you have to keep in mind.
Oh yeah, certainly. Well, certainly for dips as well. Like that's a pretty common one. Was there another 10 you wanted to kind of a bit maybe on against this war that was a bad base that y'all are attacked?
Honestly, that's the only base that I really thought was really tough to attack, or was a really easy attack. The other ones, like we hit the base with 9. Hugin did, which is one of Sig's accounts, and really, there's not a lot that can be said bad about the base, except it's wide open to hogs. But if you watch the attack, it's a pretty complicated attack. So, and I worked through talking about it, and it was hard to follow along with all the moving parts that he said we were going to have to do because he did like a loon snipe on the Inferno Tower. He had a queen walk. He had something going on where he's taking out the 6 o'clock corner. I think it was baby dragons, and he was jumping in right to the heroes so they could go and take out the other Inferno and all those wizard towers, and then let hogs try to run free. And we only hit this base twice, once with a 9 and then once with his attack. So, and he actually ended up getting a little bit lucky on this. But this is the only one. Like we wasted a lot of hits on 18 and 19. trying to run the same type of plan, and it was like banging our head against the wall. These guys had some really great bases, so it was a little refreshing to see at least there was one that we were able to easily exploit to make sure that's an insured 3-star.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, I guess since I guess the video is getting a little longer. Before we, I guess, end it, is there anything you wanted to say about, or anything else you want to say about base building, or thoughts you've had about it?
The biggest things that I can think of is you want to take into account the bowler witch attack, and you also want to take into account, basically, bowlers are your number one enemy. You want to take into account how they're used to funnel, if they can skip rocks to funnel. I mean, you usually want to try to keep it seeing something, watching base building with Luke from Poetic Darkness. Now he's with us, Spartans Legacy, but I think his channel still says Poetic Darkness. And he actually just has a 10 build he just put up there, where in areas like where you see with the air defense, and if he were to have something higher HP there where that could have skipped bowler rocks onto there and then taken out the defense of the quake, he actually adds an extra segment of wall in front of them. So it's, instead of being directly touching the wall, it's one tile back. So that way his stuff, there's a guarantee that the bowler rocks won't ever touch it. That's something that I saw this week, and I think I'm going to toy with my next base builds. Really, you just want to try to make sure that what your bowlers can take out for a wider funnel, because a lot of the suicide attacks, a lot of the walks will take advantage of just dropping a single bowler. Six camp space, taking out 2, 3, maybe 5 buildings. That's huge. So really your biggest thing is checking what kind of value you're giving to bowlers, trying to negate that, and then working out from there. When I'm building my bases, that's one of the things that's always going through my mind. What can the bowlers take easily to try to create a funnel?
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice, and that's what when I 10v10 or attack 10s, that's what I'm looking for. How can I use bowlers to help funnel?
They're our blue little friends.
Oh, indeed. Well, cool, man. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts, and this time we had some replays. And guys, if you want to copy the bases, I'm sure it's fine, because I'm sure most people, if you're just facing like a regular, just a kind of a farm clan or whatever, any of these bases will hold up.
Just put your town hall in the center.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, I appreciate it, John, and we'll have to have you on. You can show us how to 3-star 10v10s. Maybe we'll in the future.
Oh, I'm not the master at that.
Well, you got it done in the last one.
This might be my only one.
Thanks again for watching. Hopefully that helped you in your base building. Certainly helped me think about bases and even thinking about how to take down bases. So give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And as always, we'll see you next time. Halo.